The United Nations has urged China to avoid excessive force against protesters in Tibet who've been involved in violent demonstrations in the capital, Lhasa. Several people are reported to have been killed and many injured as the security forces fired on rioters, including Tibetan monks, protesting against Chinese rule in the run-up to the Beijing Olympics. From the Chinese capital, James Reynolds reports.
High up on the roof of the world, something dramatic is going on. And China is trying to black it out. But a patchwork of snapshots is now getting through. Some have been sent to the BBC by tourists and campaigners. They show demonstrations in Tibet's capital, Lhasa, the most violent for nearly 20 years.
A lot of Tibetans started to break down Chinese stalls, Chinese food shops, putting it on fire. Putting police cars on fire.
The ethnic Tibetans who have been rioting for the last several hours since midday, some of them are still attacking Chinese properties, shops, restaurants owned by ethnic Chinese.
Immediately, police materialized from various sectors of the temple, crackling into radios. The monks were set upon. Several of us saw the monks being beaten to the ground. Monks who were at the edge of this maroon stream of humanity, beaten in the ground. Some of them were kicked in the stomach.
And more than 100 marchers, mostly Tibetan exiles, have been reminded.
This is what's been happening all day here in Beijing. Every time the BBC starts mentioning something about Tibet, Chinese censors black out the channel. And this is what you can see on Chinese state TV, an ordinary discussion about politics, no mention whatsoever of Tibet.
From exile in northern India, Tibet's spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, is watching. China accuses him and his supporters of premeditated sabotage. But he's called the protests a sign of the deep-rooted resentment of the Tibetan people. China had seen this year as the perfect chance to show off some fresh images of a new, more confident China. But instead, the world has a darker set of pictures to study. It's not the kind of photo album that China had in mind for 2008. James Reynolds, BBC News, Beijing.